So, of course, I'm back for another video. I know it is quite late, it's almost midnight, but I decided to create a video anyway. And so, this video is about Fat Cat and his gang. And so, if you don't know who these guys are, they are. Well, I'm not talking about just Fat Cat and his gang, I'm talking about other villains that I really like. Now, these are not all the villains in the TV show, I'm just talking about some of my favorites, including the main villain cast. And so, if you don't know who these guys are, they're from Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, like I said. And if you saw my videos from very early this year, you saw videos of Fat Cat as Francis and throwing a fit over Mountain Dew, and him being Eric Cartman and that. So, yeah, that's yeah, those are the Fat Cat videos very early this year. But today I will be talking about the villain gang and also talk about three other villains I really like as well. And so, let's dive into it. So, the first one, and you'll probably know who the first one is, Fat Cat himself. And so, he is the main villain in the Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers TV show. I know my voice sounds a little different because I'm kind of tired, but I'm still doing this video anyways. And so, he is a very fat tabby cat, and yes, he didn't appear in most episodes, but because they had to make room for other villains as well. But he is considered to be the main villain overall in the TV show because of his continuous attempts of trying to kidnap the Rescue Rangers, but always failing. Even though there was, I think, like one attempt of like killing, of almost like killing them. I think that was only one episode. And I think the worst thing he has done, in my opinion, was where he caused so much destruction to the cities, all because he hated dogs and wanted to get rid of the humans too. So that's why that was probably the worst thing he has done. But yeah, like I said, remember, yeah, the thing hates the most is, of course, dogs. Yeah, these legends and myths out there of cats hating dogs, but these are not true. You see those videos out there, and I know it's a I know it's a late '80s to early '90s TV show, but you pretty much get the point. And I think he can be considered near pure evil because now for the evil side, one, he shows no care for his gang. Two, he caused so much destruction. And three, he attempts to kill the rescue rangers in many brutal ways. But what makes him not pure evil and far from being pure evil is that he does have some pretty comedic moments. And yeah, that's what I have to say about Fat Cat. Now next character. Now it's moving on to his henchmen. The first one is Meps, and you saw the episode right here. This is from Flash the Wonder Dog. This right here is from Gorilla in My Dreams. And so, Gorilla in My Dreams is the last episode that these guys had appeared in. I know all the episodes were the villains of here. And so, this guy, his breed might be a Devon Rex. That's just me. And if you look at him, he apparently is an alley cat. You see, he has a bandage on the tail and a bitten ear. And there are many theories out there that this guy, he has gone through many adventures before he became a man, a fat cat. So, I know there's not really much to say about him, but he's one of the most frequent antagonists of the show. And there's not much to say about most of these men, these minions and stuff. And of course, Fat Cat's henchmen are very dim-witted and they are not too bright. But yeah, they can be ferocious at times. Meps is one of those guys. And he does have an established personality. But I think there's not much to say about the character except he's a really old, damaged, and poor-looking alley cat that look like he's been in horrible conditions. So yeah, there's some information on there, but I'm not going to do that. So next is a really strange character. His name is Mole, even though his real species is a mole too. I know there are many mole characters that were named after their species, so I can understand that. And out of and he's the one I can talk about the most. He is the stupidest of the Fat Cat's men, and he's been frequently used as a punching bag against Fat Cat. If plans go wrong or the henchman fail, he's usually the one that's the punching bag. Or when he causes an accident or an accident happens, that the episode right here is the same episode, Gorilla in My Dreams, just like Maps in the later scene. And I know, so he is a really overweight mole, and there's not really much of a character. I know only 3 out of 4 Fat Cat's minis have an established personality, but there's not much to say about these guys. And I know my eyes are getting like blurry and stuff. I mean, not blurry, but like exhausted. I must move on to the next character anyway, don't you think? Yeah, all I could say, he's a brown mole. And fun fact, one of the episodes said, and there's the episode, it's like the city where the Fat Cat, he tries to take over. He was he led a whole bunch of moles, including him, to take down the city so the people could flee. And Mole understood that he was told by the rescue rangers that they have to turn on Fat Cat for what he done, and that was really good. But he became a villain again because probably he was too idiotic. So moving on to the next character. Next is Wart, and obviously he's a lizard. And fun fact, he is the only smart member of Fat Cat's gang, because other members of his gang are really, really stupid. And just so I don't know what species he might be. He might be a green anole. That's my best guess. But even though he looks nothing like that, that's the best I could find about the character of what species he is. Even though there's a lot of fictional lizards out there that look nothing like their real counterparts. So, and Wart is one of them. I don't have much to say except he's a green lizard and one of Fat Cat's minions. And unlike other characters, unlike the other henchmen, he, along with Snout, which I'll go on later, he is not used as a punching bag because of how intelligent he is. Now, speaking of Snout, here he is. Apparently, he is a rat, and he is a little strange looking. He is the one I could talk about a little more, fortunately. And what's strange, and there's a lot of strange things and a lot of mysteries about the character right here. There's a lot of theories about what happened about this character. So Snout, you don't see him in as much episodes as the other henchmen because for whatever reason, and he was not even seen when the episodes where the rescue rangers all meet. There's like a 5-part episode. Yeah, all of them were all in there, but Snout was not in there. And what I find him so intriguing is his hat that covers his eyes. And I found characters really interesting that have their eyes covered or their mouths covered or like they have a muzzle on like that, like their eyes, all that, which makes them really interesting and get to learn more about them. But unfortunately, that does not happen very often. Okay, moving on. Oh, I just moved on to the next character. Now this episode right here was taken in Flash and Wonder Dog. This episode was taken in, I think it's One-Upsman Chip, I think. And this episode, now we're moving on to the one episode characters, villains that I really like. Now the first one is an alligator named Cyrano de Bergerac, I think that's his name. And I've not watched the episode, but I just liked him because he was cool and I thought he would be included. And if you see my What Do We Care video, you probably saw these characters. And yeah, pretty much most of the Chip and Dale Rescue Ranger villains. So, Sewer knows. And of course, he's an alligator, but what's kind of strange? Yeah, he's a puppeteer, as you can see. And like all that, like puppeteers and you putting out for a show and all that. But what's kind of strange about the character is that he looks more like a crocodile than an alligator. As you can see, crocodiles are a light color with a narrow snout and are kind of big, even though Stewie nose is not too large. And alligators are dark gray with a round, broad snout. So I guess this guy can be a crocodile instead of an alligator, even though the wiki says he's officially an alligator, even though I say he's a crocodile because of the accuracy. I haven't watched the episode. I might watch it later, like another day. But let's move on to the next character. Now, you saw Fat Cat, right? This is his French cousin named Maltese de Sade. Now, Maltese de Sade, whatever his name is, and I don't know how to pronounce it. So, as you can see, he looks a lot like Fat Cat, even though they're not the same person. And just like him, he has a gang, but his gang are not as stupid and are not used as punching bags. And he only has 2 henchmen instead of 4, which I'll get on a little bit later. And just like him, he hates dogs. And just like that episode where he tried to get rid of dogs, he did the same thing. Even though he is much less destructive than Fat Cat, he is still just as evil. At least he's not as evil compared to Fat Cat. He's still a villain, and we can understand him. We can all still trying to defeat him and stuff. So if it weren't for the Rescue Rangers, all the poodles in France would have been terrified for their lives and out of Paris for sure. Now let's move on to the two last characters, and they are his 2 sidekicks. The first one is a weasel, even though he looks like an otter or a stoat, named Lesueur, or Lesueur, whatever his name is. Apparently he's a French weasel, or a stoat, or an otter, and he's not an otter. He's either a stoat or a weasel. Either way, as you can see, he's very intriguing too. He looks a lot like Snout, just by the hat, the blue hat, the cap, and the hat. He looks kind of like Snout. And there's not much I can say about the character except he looks like a generic weasel, like a generic weasel thug. And just not much known about the character right here, except that he's like just a French design and all that. Just not much known about the character here. And what's even more French-like, kind of like Frenchie from Five Goes West, Ratatouille, because yeah. So, the last character is Ratatouille, and of course he looks like Snout, but without the hat. He looks, so yeah, it looks like Snout looks like Ratatouille with Lesueur's hat, and there's a little more about the character than Lesueur. As you can see, Ratatouille is a very talented painter, and I think he has like a little more screen time, even though he speaks much less lines. And there's one thing I find it very strange about the character, or pretty much everyone does, that makes him a very big idiot. And so, Ratatouille he hates his own species, especially other rodents like mice and hamsters and guinea pigs, even though I have one as a pet. And Lesueur comments that he argues to Ratatouille that he's not a rodent, but he says, "No, I'm an artist." Wow, just wow, Ratatouille. Oh my goodness. Even though things are much worse for Ratatouille because Lesueur is a weasel, and weasels are predators to rodents, especially towards rats of any kind of size. Now, for the representation, I think Lesueur is based on Wart and Meps because they're like a little taller and they're a little smarter. And Ratatouille is probably based on Mole and Snout because Ratatouille is a rat and he is both are very stupid. And so that's it. So I hope you liked the video, and yeah, like, subscribe as usual. Hope you liked the video, the villain review, and I'll see you for the next video. I have to go to sleep right now.